Hi everybody, this is Ellen and I'm the Programme Chair for the MDPPLC, so it's the Masters in Data Protection, Privacy, Law and Computing. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the course structure and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So first of all, just to give you an overview of DCU, because that's where we're at. So obviously DCU is one of the top universities worldwide. We're high in the rankings for employment, pretty high actually for employment, and we're one of the world's leading young universities. So we're really, up there. We're a great university in particular for this topic. And we're one of the first universities to have a master's in law and computing. So I think it's a really, really valuable course because of that. And you can read through the other sort of accolades that DCU has there. The other thing that's important to mention here is that this master's actually makes up the first year of the European Masters in Law, Data and Artificial Intelligence, so the MLDI. So that's a very prestigious master's, and it's a 2-year master's, and basically you get to do the first year of the same exact course when you do the MDPPLC. So it's a really useful course to do, and because of that, it's obviously got great recognition because of that, and the topics are very relevant to the kind of the European landscape as well. The Masters is run by 2 different schools. So the first one is the School of Computing. So that's where I'm from. I'm a computer scientist. And it's also the School of Law and Government. So it's an interdisciplinary Masters. So you'll do modules in law in the School of Law and Government, and you'll do modules in computing, in computer science in the School of Computing. And that's regardless of whether you're irrespective of whether you do the law stream or the computing stream. So you'll have to do a few computing modules when you're in law, and you'll have to do some law modules when you're in computing. So that's what makes this master's really, really interesting, I guess. So if you're looking for some, core information about getting registered for the course, you can take a look at dcu.ie/registry. And also, if you're looking for maybe a little bit of guidance on student life, you can take a look at the Student Union's website as well. And there's lots of information there that will hopefully direct you into the right place. But if you do have any other questions, you can send me an email and I should be able to answer them as well. So just to give you an overview of the programme for both the computing stream and the law stream. So we have a number of core modules that each student has to do, regardless of whether they're in law or computing. So for computing, there's in semester 1, the core modules for computing is professional and research practice, and that's to get you up to speed with kind of university writing and research based writing, kind of scientific writing, if you like. And then for the law students, there's legal and socio-legal research skills. So just a little bit more focused on the legal aspect. So you'll take one of those skills kind of courses in your first semester, and then you'll also do EU data protection law as well, and that's a law module, and it's across both streams. In semester 2, you'll take artificial intelligence, information and info seeking. So this is for both the legal and the computing stream. So you'll all have to take this computer science module, and you'll also have to take data governance, which is again also a computer science module. So this is irrespective of whether you're in law or computing. But these are really interesting courses because they sort of understand the background that you have, and get your skills up in computing as they relate to AI and data and so on. Okay, so these are the core modules that you have for semester 1 and semester 2. So you've got your kind of research practice modules, and also that core data protection law module, and then you also have your sort of more so AI data based modules in the second semester. In terms of optional modules, you can take, if you're in the computing stream, and I have these sort of highlighted here, so you can take sort of an overlapping number of modules. So and when I say overlapping, I mean, the law stream can take some modules as well as the computing stream, but we also have some that are specific to the law stream and some that are specific to the computing stream, just based on the competencies that you have. So in terms of the modules that both streams can take, the optional modules, you can see comparative digital law, privacy, data and AI, law and politics of Brexit, and also you have European and international human rights law. So those are the 3 modules that both streams can take. Also, you do have a couple there at the end that are specific to the law stream, and then you do have data management and visualization that is specific to the computing stream. We'll also be adding another module called human factors in AI, and that will be specifically for the computing stream in this year's new cohort coming in. So you can see there's quite a few options as well, and we do have those core modules. So hopefully you get an idea of how the system works, right? So it's a little bit more complex than other masters because we do have this interdisciplinary sort of aspect to it. But if you have any questions when you are registering, you can just let me know, and I'll let you know if you're if you're doing the right thing, basically. We also do have year-long modules, and these are modules related to the dissertation, or what's called the practicum. So dissertation, you probably already know what that is. So that's specifically for law. It's a large sort of body of research that you do along the year where you have a supervisor. Goran is the coordinator of that module. And then you have the practicum. So the practicum is the computer science version of this. It's again a year-long project. It can involve coding and that kind of thing as well. So it's just a little bit different from the dissertation because of that. And that's for the computing students, and that's run by me. So depending on what stream you're in, you'll do a similar year-long project that just relates to sort of a lengthier body of research that you'll be doing over the course of the year. And it's really nice because you get to choose the topic that you'd like to research, and you have a supervisor who checks in with you regularly to see how you're getting on. So we do have, some information that you might want to look at later on, if you've any questions about things like deferrals, extenuating circumstances, deferral of years, that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions about that, if something happens over the course of the year, that we have all of our sort of forums and that kind of thing there. So if something happens, you know where to go. But again, once you come in for orientation, we'll go through these again. And we have some more forms as well here. So the academic registration and things like leave of absence, that kind of stuff. So if you do have any questions that you're wondering before you come back to college, maybe it's been a while since you've been in college and you want to see sort of what I do in different situations, we have all of that information there. And again, you can ask if you're not sure. Also, really worth mentioning that DCU is fantastic for student support. So we have lots of different centres. We have our study skills centre. So this is with like presentations, academic writing and group work. And our experience is always that students really find these supports really, really super useful. We have the writing centre in particular, if you're maybe coming back to college and it's been a little while since you've had to do any academic writing. Obviously, your core modules will help with that, but we also do have extra help help. And we have the Maths Learning Centre. So this is probably maybe a little bit more relevant to the computing stream students. If you have to do a bit of extra maths and you need a bit of help, we also have that centre there. But probably at master's level, it's probably something that you're probably already got a fairly good handle on, but the support is there. Anyway, we also do have financial supports available, and we also have health supports available. So that's things like counselling, mental health, and student health in general, right? So we have some fantastic services here at DCU, and if you are having any issues, you can reach out to them, and they're there to help. So that's the course at a glance, and I've hopefully answered maybe some of the questions that you might have. But if you do have any other questions, you can let me know. So as I said, my name is Ellen Rushe. So here is my email. It's just ellenrush@dcu.ie. Pretty straightforward. Thanks very much.